Welcome to the Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, Captain Logan, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today, so tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week is pretty light on news because we are on the precipice of a lot of content coming at the end of the month. There's a lot to cover, so I want to make sure you're prepped for this coming week because as we are getting closer and closer, we're going to be finding out a lot more about the Pirate Legend content, about the next adventure, some Twitch drops that are coming in, and some thoughts on some of that stuff to begin with. So let's get into it. But before we get into this week's episode, I have to thank the patrons who are supporting me. They are the ones that are giving their hard-earned cash to support this podcast. With that, they're getting the ad-free version, but they're also getting access, if they're in the right tier, to be able to join up for the Gold Hoarder episodes at the end of each month, where they can share their thoughts and feelings on the game, as well as some of the stuff that they've been doing. So this week, I wanted to shout out People's Republic, El Cute, Slum, Captain Hasco, Chateau Neuf, Chris, who's a new patron. If you want to give me your name that you want to use for the callouts, or if you just want to go by Chris, that works out as well too. Cloud, Cosmic Johnson, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Fergatron, Trickster, Jabaro 5, Kazia the Rogue, King Flameheart, Lumpy SRQ, Okari and Darth, Dub Goose, Evil Morpheus, Xbox Mike 29, Munchie, Registella, Norwegian, Skinny Matt, Scum Melt 666, Strange Stan, Tarnished Film, T and Professor, Real Big Tuna, Uriel Canes, Big Bad Pad, Minaferry, Super Pack, Music Me, The Lore Chronologist, Deadeye Dre, Murphy Lives, Neon, Evil Martha, Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Straw Hat Connor, Thor Von Blitz, Windsor Chris, and Zam. Wow. Thank you all so much for your support. It's been helping me get prepared and get the things that I need for SOT Fest. I'm super looking forward to that. I can't believe it's like 101 days away or something like that. It's close. And I'm super happy to be able to have the opportunity to go meet other community members for the first time outside of like going for a 2-hour drive to San Francisco. So I'm excited for that. And it's all because of you guys. You guys are the ones that are helping me get to that. So thank you so much for your support. I look forward to meeting anyone that's going to be there, whether you're part of the community or not. Honestly, I'm just excited to be able to go see a bunch of Sea of Thieves fans. So with that, let's get into the episode. First up on today's docket, let's talk about the Shrouded Deep Sea of Thieves adventure that is premiering in less than 9 hours as the time of recording this. This is going to be available over on YouTube. Just search a Sea of Thieves adventure or the Shrouded Deep, and you'll probably be able to find this. It's got a very concerned Merrick on the thumbnail, and in the background, it shows the killer whale, which was his ship, but it looks absolutely destroyed, and it looks like it's been raised up from the actual depths of the ocean. So this is something that kind of harkens to the loading screen. Currently on the loading screen, if you look at it, it shows kind of one of the sea forts, and up in the corner it actually has Merrick's ship. This kind of confirms that we are going to be dealing with Merrick and probably the Shrouded Ghost, given the nature of the Shrouded Deep, knowing that it's in the belly of the White Beast, or the belly of, I think it was the belly of the White Beast that Belle was talking about in Adventure 2. And this is premiering tomorrow. Well, at the time of recording, it's not yet premiered, so I can't really talk about it. Kind of a bummer, but that just leaves more content for me to talk about next week and the week after. But we're going to be diving into that later. I will probably be doing a breakdown video of this on YouTube, so that way, much like the last adventure video that came out, I'll be kind of talking about some of the things that came in that, what kind of information it gives. And I really do love these kind of trailers. It really kind of brings the story forward, front and center for the rest of people who don't normally necessarily mess around with the content in the game. They just kind of go around and sail and stuff, but having this kind of adventure setup really is kind of nice. And this will be the final arc in the first 3 adventures for the seasons going forward. I was going to say season 6, but there's not any more adventures for season 6. This is basically it, which makes me wonder if this is how we are going to see it kind of progress. If the first half of the adventure or the season are going to be focused on adventures, and then mysteries will come afterwards, and then the mysteries will kind of give us a little bit of information, maybe even tease out some of the stuff that could be coming in the next season. I'm very curious to kind of see how this works out. Going off of the roadmap, we kind of have an idea of what's going to be happening. One of the few things that actually hasn't really come to light yet is actually to do with the community day back in, I believe it was January, or no, I can't remember now. I can't remember if it was January or February, but we had the community day. I think it was January, because I think that's when I ordered those shirts. We had the community day, and that was kind of a social media engagement tool that they used to kind of reward players. It was basically, share your tweets with a certain hashtag to raise the emissary level or the multiplier level during that day to try and get more gold out for that stuff. And it was, there was a lot of activity. It didn't go nearly as well as I think they planned it to, in the sense that it was not stable. I think that it was really good content, and I think the engagement was really high. But a lot of people lost out on a lot of rewards that they thought they were going to get, or they just couldn't get into the game, period. There were a lot of issues with that as well, too, to the point where they even had some folks kind of memeing about it, and they kind of owned up to that. So I'm hoping that with season 6, we'll get a little bit more information about what the next community day is, how that's going to look, and see if we're going to be able to rely on the servers handling that amount of activity coming into the game. But getting back to the Shrouded Deep adventure, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, just based on the looks of the killer whale, which is Merrick's ship. The sails look like they are something that are really tattered. All of the ropes are kind of draped over the ship like it's been, sitting in the water forever. One of the questions that I had with this is kind of interesting, because as far as I was aware, and other people have kind of mentioned this as well too, I was under the impression that the wreck of the killer whale was actually broken up into just the wood parts of it and used to kind of make Reaper's hideout. At the time that Reaper's hideout was being made, there were a lot of ships in that area. A lot of ships that kind of run aground on that unmarked isle. And as the Reaper's Bones hideout was kind of being built, they used what was around them, and the killer whale was one of those wrecks. In fact, it was a named wreck. And ever since the Reaper's hideout was born, the killer whale has been kind of MIA. It's been gone. We haven't seen any of it since. So I'm really curious to see if this is something that, the thing that makes me wonder what's going on is on the actual thumbnail, Merrick looks very surprised, and I wonder if there's two reasons why it could be something that he's very surprised about. He looks shocked, and I wonder if that's because he was not expecting to see the killer whale ship. And I wonder if it's either that, or if it's that he's surprised to see the Shrouded Ghost. Now, I can't imagine that it's the Shrouded Ghost, but I imagine, like, I don't know, because I'm of two minds about this. I could totally see it playing out either way. It's either he's excited to see his ship, which was gone for the longest time, and I could also see him being excited about the actual Shrouded Ghost, the thing that he's been hunting this whole time, outside of the hungering one. Now, I don't know how this is going to play into the lore of Sea of Thieves, because if you've spoken with Merrick's wife, she has explicitly said that she would plan on leaving him if he went back to meg hunting, which is why he took up post on the actual sea posts to help with the Hunter's Call and that creation of that faction. He was giving up his shrouded or his megalodon hunting days. So I wonder how active he's going to be. Are they going to play more of a role with him, and is that going to cause a rift with the actual marriage that he's in right now? Because there's always been kind of this tumultuous relationship with Merrick and his wife. Like she ran off with the prince of the merfolk for an amount of time. And she came back to him, but under the assumption that I don't know if it was an assumption. They may have actually talked about it. It's hard to say because it's all background lore. But it'd be curious to find out if Merrick does help us hunt down the Shrouded Ghost. If that's going to be something that is considered enough to kind of cause her to not want to be married anymore because she doesn't think that she can trust him. The irony being that she ran off with a merfolk prince for the time being that he was actually hunting the hungering one, from what I can remember of the lore. So it'll be interesting to kind of find out, like, maybe this is something that actually sparks a bit of controversy within the Hunter's Call, something that actually drudges up maybe a little more activity within that trade company, given how stale the trade company has been since launch of the actual trade company, not the launch of the game, but the actual trade company itself. Nothing has really changed from that trade company ever since it got brought into the game. There's never been any kind of voyages added. There's never been any kind of rewards added to it. So as a result of that, it's due for a shakeup. And I wonder if maybe this is kind of a way that Rare is looking to actually shake things up with the Hunter's Call. I know a lot of people have had some really great ideas to kind of come up with their own thoughts and some of their own theories of some of the cool things that we could do for the Hunter's Call, namely fighting bigger monsters, fighting different monsters, fighting monsters for the sake of having something that is kind of tied to ocean crawlers, or bring in new types of world threats, kind of in line with the Kraken or the Megalodon. A lot of people have wanted to have those big kind of roaming islands that are on the backs of like giant sea turtles and stuff, and I could totally see something like that. Heck, I mean, if Call of Duty's getting Godzilla, why can't we have something goofy like that? Sea of Thieves has got magic in it. I don't see why that can't be a thing. So I would be really interested to find out a little bit about this. One of the things that is kind of interesting about this thumbnail, and I didn't even notice this until I actually kind of sat down to record, because I'd seen the image, but I hadn't really like processed the image. But it is definitely clear that in the background, because we've got about 3 layers in this thumbnail, which the fact that I'm talking about the thumbnail this long is still kind of shocking me. But you've got Merrick, you've got the killer whale, and then back behind that is actually the silhouette of what looks to be the arena tavern on the spire, which would definitely kind of explain what's going on over at the spire. Because recently we've been having some really weird stuff with the spire. We've had a lot of weird stuff going on in the game right now, and we can't really suss out whether or not it's intended or not. I think that's the big thing is there's a lot of stuff that's going on that is unclear if it's an intended or if it's a glitch or a bug with the code. Because right now we've seen a lot of people kind of like taking photos of the name plaques over the ships. A lot of people have seen the level of detail load-ins bug for the sloops to be able to see like the nameplate for those. A lot of people have been seeing lantern lights or kind of what looks to be lantern lights out on the water, kind of hovering above the water, out by the arena tavern, and or the Sea Dog Tavern. I don't know why I keep calling it the arena. The arena is no more. The Sea Dog Tavern out by the spire. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe there's something going on that, I kind of imagine that's probably where the next adventure is going to take place. And I imagine that it's probably going to have to do with the killer whale. And judging by the look of it on this thumbnail, I'm assuming that Bell has something to do with this in, I don't know, maybe resurrecting the killer whale. It's going to help us. Maybe that's how they do it. Maybe that's what they do. Because I'm sorry, I'm kind of working this out as I'm talking through it here. But I imagine one of the things that was always kind of really great was the hungering one, the Hungering Deep event. But you needed 2 crews for that. And if this is a 2-week event, then it's going to be hard to really kind of get people to jump on and do this and find multiple crews to do this. So maybe in lieu of actually having to need 2 crews to be able to summon the Shrouded Ghost, maybe you have to do this in conjunction with the Killer Whale and Merrick's help. And that would take the place of the second crew to be able to summon the Shrouded Ghost. But it doesn't really track. So I'm kind of like disagreeing with myself already, because Belle said that she knew how to summon it. So I don't know if that's something like, does she know how to summon that Shrouded Ghost in particular? Or is it any Megalodon? Because if it's any Megalodon, then we've already know how to do that. We've done that for the Hunter's Call back with the first update. We've carried the song with the drum. But I could totally see Merrick and the Killer Whale. Maybe the whole crew comes on board. That would be kind of interesting if the whole crew showed up on the Killer Whale, his whole family, and he was able to help us summon the Shrouded Ghost so that we could get the Veil of Ancients. But I'm so unclear of how this is actually going to play out, because this is something that we are hunting, and we've seen, like, we already know that at the end of this adventure we're going to get the Veil of Ancients, or the Ancient Mask, because we've seen the deep dives on the pirate legend Tall Tale, or not Tall Tales, but Voyages, and we know that we have to get the gems for those. So if we already know what the ending to this adventure is, then realistically all we're doing is just kind of going through the motions for this. And I'm kind of curious if we are, like, what kind of rewards we're going to be seeing for this. Are we going to be able to get a different version of the livery set for the Killer Whale? Or maybe I would imagine, like, Merrick's jacket would be a good reward for that, because I don't think they've ever given anything for Merrick. Or yeah, I would say his jacket would probably be a good reward, kind of as far as the memento. But there's going to be something there, so I'm curious to kind of see what that's going to be. But realistically, like, we kind of already know what's going to happen. We know we're going to summon the Shrouded Ghost. We now know that the Killer Whale is going to be involved. We know that it is going to be around the Sea Dog Tavern, and that Merrick is going to be shocked at whatever he sees there. And whenever we kill the Shrouded Ghost, we will then be able to loot the Veil of Ancients mask from that, and then that will then lead into the pirate legend Voyages that are coming out on the 21st. With this adventure, to be able to get the stones, to be able to control the Veil of Ancients, so that we have control over whether or not the worlds between Sea of Thieves and the Sea of the Damned merge or unlock, or whatever you want to call it. So I guess at this point, we've been given enough information to kind of figure out what's going on. At this point, I'm just kind of curious as to the implementation and some of the lore behind it, because whatever it's going to be, it's definitely going to be short. And I'll be very curious to see how well this turns into the pirate legend Voyages. Like, are they going to have kind of a nice segue from the end of Adventure 3 with Belle, meeting up with the Pirate Lord to be able to give the Pirate Lord the Veil of the Ancients. I'm really curious to find out, like, with the cinematic, like, where Shelley's going to pop up, because Shelley's so far, thanks to John McFarlane in the interview that I had earlier this year, we know that he had her written into the script up until, what did he say? I think season 8 or 9 when we were talking about that. So we know that she's going to be somewhere in there. But I'm very curious to find out, like, where Shelley's going to pop up, and if she's going to be, like, on the ship, or if she's going to just be hanging out with Merrick, because whatever it is, it'll probably be pretty quick. And I could imagine if this is focusing on Merrick, they will probably have something where you'll kind of greet him on the sea post, and all the sea posts have those those cooking pots. And I could totally see like Merrick holding Shelley above the cooking pot with the lid in his hand, as Belle kind of like appears and tells him, like, hey, I need your help with something. And him being like, oh, okay. And then he just kind of like throws Shelley over his shoulder, and she goes into the water, and she's saved for another day. And that's kind of like kicks off the little segue into the rest of the cinematic. But I'm super curious to kind of find out like what this cinematic's going to be in 8 hours as of now. God, it's so close. I wish I could delay this podcast and actually just kind of talk about it afterwards. But I got people in Europe that want to have this to be able to listen to it. So I'm sorry to say I'll have to kick this out, but very curious to find out like when this is actually going to happen, or how it's going to happen, instead of like when it's going to happen, because I know when it's going to happen. So I guess that's it as far as the Shrouded Deep goes. Very curious, very, very curious to find out what the memento is. I would love it for it to be the actual, what's it called? Merrick's jacket. I would love for that. That'd be cool, because I've always loved his jacket. Speaking of jackets, can I talk about the Ocean Hunter jacket for a quick second? Because this was a one-off that came from season 2. I had to look it up. It was renown level 65, and it's a recolor of the Hunter jacket that is a set that kind of came out in the second year. I believe it was the second year that it came out. And, it wasn't one of the most amazing sets. It was kind of like a whaler set. But the Ocean Hunter jacket itself has a really nice, like white and pale blue motif that I'm actually digging. And, one of the reasons why I was kind of bringing this up is, when I was going through to kind of dig out some information about the patch notes, to kind of figure out like what was I going to talk about this week, with everything kind of happening like during this week. So it makes it really tough to know or be able to speak on anything if everything is like happening like after this episode's already going to go out. So I was digging through the patch notes, and I kind of looked at something that I didn't really catch on to last time when I actually looked at these. So I wanted to bring up the Nightfall Hunter clothing set, because there might be a little bit of confusion, and I think that it's kind of a weird way to go about something, because we're getting Twitch drops. So first off, let me address the fact that we're getting Twitch drops. Twitch drops are going to start off on April 22nd. That's going to be the Friday this month. The Pirate Legend content and adventure are going to start on the 21st, so this Thursday. So if you're listening to this this coming week, you'll be able to jump onto that on the 21st. That's when the level cap for Athena is going to go from 20 to 30. I've already kind of talked about a lot of that, so if you happen to be confused about what I'm talking about, jump back to episode 219, where I kind of dove into my feelings and some thoughts on that, to kind of understand a little bit more about what's going on with that. But I wanted to kind of address the Twitch drops that are coming out, because this is something that's going to start on the 22nd, and it's going to go until the 26th, which is actually kind of interesting because it's a little bit longer. But on the 22nd, they've got the Twilight Hunter jacket. The 23rd is going to be the Twilight Hunter belt. The 24th is going to be the Twilight Hunter boots. And the 25th is going to be the Twilight Hunter gloves. Now, the 26th is the last day, and that's going to be the Twilight Hunter eye patch, which leaves a fair amount of cosmetics left to get in that full set. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, Logan, that's kind of weird. Why are they re-releasing the Twilight Hunter set? Like, we've already been watching streamers for months to get this set. Like, why are they doing a replay of this kind of a thing? And unfortunately, I wouldn't blame you, because initially I thought the same thing. And this was something that I know was talked about in the Keelhauled podcast, and it for whatever reason just slipped my mind. But they were kind of talking about this, and kind of looking at it now, I can totally see where the rub is. because we've already been getting the Twilight Hunter content for Twitch drops. So if we're already doing that, then what is different about these? And it wasn't until I actually went to the website to check out the Twitch drops, to look at the rewards, to get the dates for you so I could know and speak to whatever was actually coming out, when I noticed that the Twilight Hunter set that they're releasing is a brand new colored set of the hunter gear, and it's a little bit different than the other set. It's not just a straight recolor. There's a little bit of differences here and there, but the overall theme of it is similar to the hunter set. And that was when I started to sit there and think like, okay, well, what happened to the old Twilight Hunter set? And that's when I was having to go back into the patch notes to kind of figure out what happened. So then I went to the patch notes and I read into this, and I remember talking about the Imperial Sovereign set, which I do actually like that set. But the Twilight Hunter set that we've been getting for Twitch drops during season 5 is now being made available to purchase for gold in the actual clothing shop, but the name is being changed. So the set that we were watching Twitch streamers for during season 5 are now renamed the Nightfall Hunter set. So it's no longer the Twilight Hunter set. That set that we already got is now the Nightfall Hunter set. And the cosmetics in there are now tied to commendations. So you can't just necessarily buy this set from the clothing set. You actually have to progress through a certain commendation to be able to get this. And when I went through the different pieces, it looks like there's multiple pieces per grade. And the commendation that you need to work on is the Hunter of Cursed Captains commendation, which is fairly straightforward. You just basically have to kill skeleton captains, just regular old skeleton captains, whether they be emergent or from Order of Souls Voyages. So very easy to get. Not too much, but the not too much of a trouble, but the number that you have to get does kind of like start to stack up as you get higher and higher into those grades. And as you go from grade 1 to grade 5, you'll start to unlock pieces of the Nightfall Hunter set, formerly known as the Twilight Hunter set from the Twitch drops. And this was something that I was thinking about. And at first I was thinking, this is really dumb. I really don't know why they're going through all this trouble just to do this, just toss it up in the actual clothing set. And then it kind of dawned on me that this is actually kind of a great way to give value to commendations that previously really didn't have a whole lot of value. Now, if you've already been watching the Twitch drops, then you've probably already got this gear. I've only ever missed, I think, one that I wanted to get. I think there was one item that I wanted to get and I didn't get it. And I felt like a dummy for not logging in and heeding my own advice to make sure that I throw up a Twitch stream for at least 20 minutes. And I was pretty bummed about that. I'm not going to lie. I kind of wish that I had actually gotten them all. But the problem with that is that I don't have a way to really go back and actually get that item anymore. And I'm really kind of bummed out about that. And I think actually the item was the Twilight Hunter sword. Now that I think about it, I think it was the Twilight Hunter sword that I missed out on. But if they are going to take the Twitch drops and they're actually going to put those in as commendation unlocks, then I really like the idea of saying like, hey, you know what? Not everyone was playing the game during the time when Twitch drops were going on, and Twitch drops are pretty regular, but still kind of sporadic. Like there's not like a known time frame from when these usually kick up. Like they'll kick up almost every month, but not guaranteed every month. But at least once a month, you can generally plan on there being some sort of cosmetics going out there for this stuff. But if you miss a day, there's not really a good way to get those cosmetics anymore because they don't repeat them. So the only way to really get them is to watch the streams, which I can already hear you out there. You're saying that's the price of entry. That's the thing that you have to do. But realistically, like we're talking 20 minutes a day just to remember to log on or put up a browser for 20 minutes on a Twitch streamer. And that's the amount of effort that it really takes. So there's really not anything too lost if it comes to, like how much of your time and energy is put into getting these cosmetics, which is why most people generally don't value these cosmetics. So the idea of taking these, and after they've already kind of run their course on Twitch drops, those that missed out on certain pieces, or those that missed out on them altogether because maybe they haven't been playing. Sea of Thieves is one of the top 5 items sold through Steam this last month, thanks to the sale for the anniversary update. So if you missed out on it, you're playing Sea Thieves for the beginning, for the first time, you never knew that they were doing Twitch drops for content. I mean, they've been doing Twitch drops for content for tons of stuff. Like if you wanted to get No Man's Sky content, you could be watching No Man's Sky streamers right now to get free content. How many of you guys knew that? Because I didn't until I started watching one, and then I found out about it. And I wonder how many cosmetics I've missed for No Man's Sky, or for what was the other one that I was just watching? New World. New World's been doing tons and tons of stuff like that, and a lot of games do this, but not everyone finds out about that, especially if they come to a game post launch. So the idea of taking these sets and adding them to commendations not only builds value into the commendations, but also offers others the opportunity to get content that they either didn't know about or might have missed out on. And as many of the people in Sea of Thieves community like to point out, Rare likes to kind of recycle their content. I know I've definitely told people, like if it's a Twitch stream, don't worry too heavily about it, because there will eventually be another way to earn these in some form or another. There's a few exceptions to that, obviously, but there's always content that they want to award to people for doing something, whether it be engaging with the community on Twitch, whether it be through earning commendations or logging into the game during a certain time. Hopefully many of you got the Silver Pirate Legend eye patch. But overall, I really kind of like this idea. And I'm surprised that this was something that has kind of taken this long to do. So I kind of wonder if they'll go back to some of the prior Twitch drops and start adding those into the game as well, if it was something that all you had to do was watch a Twitch streamer for a certain amount of time. Now, I can already tell people are already going to be a little hesitant about this idea, because there are some cosmetics that were very, very precious to folks. I would point to the Obsidian Flintlock. It was the Ebon Flintlock. The Obsidian set had like multiple names. I hate, but the Ebon Flintlock was something that was given out. It was added as a Twitch stream, but for the first 3 months, it was the only gun that you could get that had an iron sight, and it was coveted. It was almost insanely coveted, and many people asked when they were going to be able to release that again for Twitch streams. Well, if you were to take that and add it as a commendation for, name something, a Reaper's Bones commendation, that would be a really great way for them to do that, to be able to add value to those commendations, which currently the value add to the commendations used to be, well, it is kind of reputation, but if you're maxed on reputation, it doesn't really hold any value. But it used to be doubloons, and doubloons haven't been used terribly much as a way to incentivize players, and I think a lot of that is just to the lack of focus on content that is gained through doubloons. I think they're planning on something, I'm sure. We just don't know what it is at the moment, but I would expect that in the future we'll probably have some doubloon cash dumps for that. But for right now, I'm really kind of digging this. The one thing that I will say that I'm not a huge fan of is actually the rebranding of that set. Looking at the patch notes and seeing that they are turning the Twilight Hunter name from the current set that we got back from season 5 and putting that towards the new set is something that I think might actually deter people from watching Twitch streamers coming up, especially if they've been paying close enough attention to recognize the name, but not close enough attention to notice that it's a different set, which is kind of a bummer. Because if you haven't been paying attention and you just notice that every Twitch drop that comes out is another Twilight Hunter set, and you've been keeping track of how many they've been doing, you might be questioning why the Twilight Hunter set is still the same set that they are doing for Twitch drops. And you may not watch streamers to find out that it's a brand new set. And it's a brand new set that's more in line with the traditional Hunter set or the Ocean Hunter set, which I still really like the Ocean Hunter jacket. And you might miss out on loot or you might miss out on cosmetics because of that. And that's kind of a bummer, it's kind of a real sad set of circumstances. So I'm hoping that they decide to be a little more considerate, or not considerate, but forward thinking with future Twitch drops and what they plan to name them. I hope that the current content that is coming out with the Twitch drops this coming weekend will be the for sure Twilight Hunter set, and then whatever set happens to come out after this set has run its course, they then change the name to something else or a different set altogether, and try to kind of build a little more variety. Because not gonna lie, as much as I like the color theme of the new Twilight Hunter set, it is still just another Hunter set. And at that point, there are so many. I would love another Grand Admiral set. There's a Stygian Hunter, or a Stygian Admiral shirt, I think is what it is. I'm kind of going off my memory right now. Stygian or Stygian, I have no clue how it's pronounced. I don't think I've ever even heard that word said out loud. But there's a shirt out there that's like a yellow and black shirt, and it's one of my favorite designs that I love to wear, because I hate wearing the jackets. I just like wearing the shirts. That I would love to see like a full set kind of built out around that. So if they did that with Twitch drops, I think it'd be fine. I'm happy getting the content sooner. But if it's something that they just come out with and I happen to miss a piece, everyone's busy. Not everyone's going to remember. You can have tons of reminders, but you still have to sit down and actually put the stream up, which yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But I won't get into my feelings on that right now. I think there's a whole podcast to be made about Twitch streaming and stuff that I might actually bring another Twitch streamer on to talk about with, now that I think about it. But anyway, moving into the point of what I was getting at, I really hope that they move forward with kind of adding more value to the commendations, especially if they start coming out with new commendations. I think the party boat stuff was really good. I think the Midnight Blade stuff was really good. What was it? The merchant stuff and the gold hoarder stuff. Some of that stuff that came out that was like tied to commendations. I really like that, because it does kind of force you to have a little more focus when you get on to actually go sailing, and not miss out on stuff, or at least have a reason to jump on. Ahoy there, pirates. This is the ad for this episode, and I did want to let you know, if you wanted to avoid these and just get a regular filler, you can head over to the Patreon. There's a special feed just for patrons that get the ad-free version. If you want to keep listening, though, I can't say I blame you, because this week I want to let you know about Loot Crate and getting 15% off of most crates and crate subscriptions when you use the link and code RobotsRadio in the show notes. Also, you can head over to audiobooks.com, get your first 3 audiobooks for free, and that can include any 2 VIP books, or use the affiliate link for Green Man Gaming. If you're a PC gamer or you'd like to save money on games, it's one of the benefits of being a PC gamer. Head over to Green Man Gaming. You can get codes for Steam, Epic, any of the different stores that they have deals going on. They have deals going on all the time, and if you plan on buying there, please consider using our affiliate link. All of that goes straight to me through the network. Thank you all so much for everything that you do to support this podcast. It means the world to me, and I continue to try and improve the quality and the content for you. With that, pirates, let's get back to the show. Speaking of focusing on content, boy howdy, this month really flew by, and we're already halfway through it. So I hope you have been working on your emissary ledgers, because we got a really good boost with Athena's fortune during a Pirate Legend week, and it was really great to see so many folks manage to hit Pirate Legend, or if they hadn't already, or if they had already hit Pirate Legend, that they hit level 20 in Athena. This was something that I think really helped kind of boost up the emissary value. I can't remember if I talked about it last episode, but I do really like the idea of them kind of focusing in on one specific trade company for these. But we're getting close to the end of the month, and this is your friendly reminder to make sure you're logging on, and anytime you go out and get some treasure, just kind of cycle through the different emissaries once you kind of stopped working on the main one that you're working on. Try and get a little bit in as you can, a little bit here and there. It always helps kind of push you forward, and then try to take like one day a week and really focus in, just try and get as much on one emissary as you can. I've been doing this throughout each week. In fact, I think this last week was the one week where I haven't actually really focused on something. Mostly been jumping around doing stupid stuff in game. Haven't really been working on turning in any loot when I do jump in. But for the most part, I've got all of my emissaries up to the second tier. I just need a little bit more focus over the next couple weeks, and I'll be able to push those up into the top tier. Athena's good. I haven't really sailed with anyone doing Reaper this month, so that's kind of like the lowest right now, but I think that's even in like tier 3. So it would be easy enough for me to run out, grab a Reaper flag, jump on the seas, go do a couple sea forts, or go do like a what is, I always forget what the name is, the lost shipments, grab a bunch of stuff there and go do those. In fact, the merchant has been the easiest this month. I went and did 2 lost shipment voyages over the course of 2 days, and started working on those, really just trying to knock out some of those commodity crates as well too, if I can. But I've been trying to get my my crates done. I've been really wanting to try and get like the broken bottles and the silks and stuff turned in, trying to knock out some of those commendations, because I'll be honest, I've been pretty lazy about merchant recently, but I'm super close to getting topped out on all of those. Athena's good. I've got plenty of buffer on that, and I'll kind of keep an eye on it. But we're 2 weeks out now, and if you want to get your emissary ledger rewards, you do still have a couple months that you can do that within this season before the ledgers reset. But at the end of the month, you'll lose out on the opportunity to really work on any of those, and you'll have to start all over again at the beginning of May. So kind of keep an eye on this. Make sure that you're logging in. Make sure you're thinking about where you're at on your ledgers. I don't want anyone to miss out on this. Especially with it being the first month in the season, it's a great opportunity to catch up if you're behind on these as well too, because now you've got the next couple months to start getting closer and closer to working on the current emissary ledgers, especially if they're ones that you don't necessarily do.
The runes and things.
Something that you can't do right now is actually kind of odd to me. I was kind of digging through the patch notes. I mentioned this earlier, and there is a bombardier, or a barrel bombardier bundle that is listed in the actual patch notes, and it's called the Demolition Delights bundle. This is something that will get you the barrel bombardier costume, the weapon bundle, and the tankard, as well as 550 ancient coins and 25,000 gold for picking up this bundle. This bundle typically goes for about $15, which is a smoking deal. Gets you the costume and the weapons and the tankard, which right there is more than the cost, I think, for the actual items separately, plus the 550 ancient coins, which honestly is a really nice way to kind of put that towards the cosmetics. And I wanted to kind of bring up the barrel bombardier ships and costume, because I actually really like these. They are straight up something that reminds me of Junkrat from Overwatch, which was, when I was playing Overwatch, it was one of my favorite characters to play as, because he's goofy, he's weird, he's Australian, which already is a boon to that, and he's very Mad Max. Him and Roadhog are very Mad Max-esque, and I love Mad Max. It's such a good franchise. And looking at the barrel bombardier set, it looks like it is really kind of treating, I would say, Junkrat and Mad Max is kind of like their spirit animals. Whoever's working on the cosmetics in the last couple of months has really been let loose, and they're kind of working on, whatever kind of dystopian future Mad Max style they can pull out, both with the fish set that came out last time with I can't even remember what it is. God, I hate my brain sometimes when I can't even remember what the last set was called. But that plus this set, it looks really cool. They've done a really, really good job with it. And I would love to recommend people go out and actually take a look at the Demolition Delights bundle, but you can't actually buy it right now. And this is something that you typically just buy through the store. You can't actually buy the bundle in the Emporium or through the game like you normally would with everything else. This is something that is specifically just in the Xbox store or the Steam store. But when I went to go actually buy this, it's not there, and I don't know why. When I go to the Xbox Store website, whether it be through the browser or the actual console, it shows me that it's either not listed or that the URL is incorrect. So I tried searching for just the actual Demolition's Delight bundle, and I couldn't find it that way. So then I went to the actual store page for the game for Sea of Thieves, and I looked through the add-ons, and all the add-ons had pretty much all the other stuff in there, but it didn't have this. So then I went to Steam, and I had the same issue with Steam. Steam doesn't even list it in their thing. I can see the Brooding Buccaneer bundle, which is the Warsmith set, and weapons and cosmetics and stuff, and then I can see the Kraken starter set, which is kind of a base set to go into if you haven't been playing the game. Then they've got the typical like ancient coins, and then the season 6 plunder pass, but they don't have any of the other sets, and I'm so confused about this. I don't know what is going on with the game. I don't know why this bundle is not in the store, because typically these don't really have a time limit on them when it's during the actual season. Now, when it's not the season, I can totally understand this is something that they're doing promotion on. But if we're just looking at the actual release of the patch notes, I'm very confused, because as far as I know, these patch notes were released on April 6th. It is April 17th. It is barely more than 10 days out. It hasn't even been 2 weeks. And this bundle is not anywhere to be found. So I'm putting this out as kind of a notice to anyone that might be from Rare that is listening to this. If you could look into this would be great, because I'm trying to give you money and I can't give you my money because the bundle's not there. Bear in mind, I've already purchased the costume as a result in game, so I'm a little bummed about that. I would like to get the tankard, and I would like to get the weapons, and I've already purchased the essential bundle for the actual ship livery set. I haven't purchased the collector stuff yet, because I'll be honest, those are just too overpriced. But with the actual bundle, like I want to recommend this. I want to say that people should pick it up, because it is typically a good deal. It really is. If you guys ever want the Emporium bundles or the Emporium cosmetics, I usually recommend going with the bundles, because you'll get the ancient coins, you'll get the actual gold, but you'll get typically the best stuff from the actual Emporium outside of the actual livery sets, which that's something where, again, the livery sets are just super expensive, and I just have a hard time recommending those. Unless you want to get them. And I saw on Reddit, there was actually someone who posted a tier set for the Emporium cosmetics, and I gotta say, I really disagreed with their rankings. They had some very interesting sets, pretty up high compared to some of the other sets. Like I don't know anyone that would that would recommend the Huntress set, which, if you don't recall, that one is just the silver, blue, and black set. That's the perfect dark one. That is, I really can't justify it. It says it's worth it, which to me, no, it's definitely not worth it. It's more of the should be earnable in game. But then they have something like the Soulflame Captain set. That should be something is listed as should be earned in game, which I could agree, but also it's a really good looking set. So I could totally see that being something that would be in the insta buy or worth it. But they had like insta buy, worth it, buy it if you like it, should be a lower price, should be earnable in game, and then meeting the quota. And then they had like I can't remember the shifting sands set, which is the one that kind of has like the Arabian look of it. That is the quote unquote meeting the quota tier, like the bottom tier. Like I can't agree with the person who decided where these sets should be listed at, because it is just it is way off base compared to where I value stuff. So like the Tinker set, the engineering one, that is like meeting the quota. And I'm like, man, that is a buy it if you like it. Like if you like that, like you should buy that, because the collector's helm or the no, not the helm, the figurehead, really good. So I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. I do agree with them. The Crimson Crypt set is an insta buy. It was for me, but yeah, I don't know. This person has some very, very interesting, and they're a Brave Vanguard of all things. Like, you guys are killing me, man. I just don't agree. Weird tier set. I may have to actually have to make that tier set for my choices and post that online to kind of see like where everyone else falls in their choices for where they see the actual livery sets from the Emporium, especially given how many we have now. So, but that's kind of the it as far as the news goes. Again, we're really kind of sitting on the precipice of like a bunch of stuff dropping. And I'll definitely be covering that. Next week's episode is the Gold Hoarder episode. So if you're signed up for the Captain tier in the Patreon, that is something that is available to you, even though it's not listed in the actual rewards. There's a channel in the Discord server where all of the Gold Hoarders have access to. If you don't, make sure that your Patreon and Discord's accounts are linked so you have access to that. There's FAQs on the Patreon site to be able to help you kind of work through that and figure it out. There's some videos on YouTube as well too. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me as well on the Discord, and I can see about getting you hooked up with that. But it's kind of a nice way for me to touch base. I love chatting with all the patrons to kind of find out like how things are going. It's going to be right after the next adventure drops. So I'm gonna if you're listening to this and you're up to date on the episodes, Gold Hoarders, we're not going to be spoiling Adventure 3 next episode. We're going to give folks the first week to be able to play through that. The episode after that, I'll be diving into my thoughts on the adventure and stuff like that. And if we want to talk about that the spoilery aspect of that afterwards, then we can do that. Worst case scenario, we'll kind of section off the last half of the episode to be able to talk about stuff that would be considered spoilers and stuff. But I want to give folks an opportunity to jump into that. I would love to talk with you about the Pirate Legend content to see what you think of that, how that's going and stuff, because that's something that's going to be made available to any of the people that are jumping into that. So just as a warning, there's a good chance we're going to be talking about stuff as it comes out, and there's a good possibility that some of that stuff may be considered spoilers. So just kind of a warning, an episode early, but I think that's going to do it. Again, shorter episode. We're waiting for content to come out, and I can't really justify talking about nothing if there's nothing, if we're just waiting for this. I'm super excited for the next adventure. I'm really, really excited to jump into the Pirate Legend content. I really want to see what that's about, and to get to try out some of those different voyages to see how they work, how they play and stuff. And if anyone can do me a favor, if you happen to have a photo of the back of Ancient Spire's Tavern, there is a walkway that's in front of the bridge that connects to the second spire, Ancient Spire Outpost. I tripped and fell over a bench that someone put in front of that walkway. Like, it's right up against the actual wood beams. And I'm so used to just running through that section there. And it's usually not an issue. But I was running through there to go over to the other side of the island, the spire, and just kind of check and see like what kind of world events was going on. Somebody put a bench there. I tripped, I fell, I bashed my nose into the ground, and I had to like walk back over to Lorena, ask her for a mango so that I could heal up and have my nose fixed. And I was really kind of annoyed by the whole endeavor and stuff. And she said, you should really look and see like where you're walking. And I stupidly threw out the first thing that came to mind when I thought bilge rats telling me what to do. And I said, oh, well, I follow my nose. And I realized that she might not actually get the Duke reference to that. But needless to say, if anyone has a photo of the back of Ancient Spire Outpost and can confirm whether or not someone moved the bench and put the bench in front of the beams that are in front of the walkway by the bridge that comes out from the back of the tavern. I would really love to know, like, if that was something that was always there and I've just instinctively like walked over it and never thought about it, or if if someone did legitimately like move that bench and I'm not crazy and and they're just playing a prank on me. Because I'm at this point, I'm kind of annoyed because it hurt. But I also want to know, like, what the heck is going on with that? Like, why is somebody putting a bench in front of a walkway? It's a trip hazard. We're all pirates, but no one's really paying attention anyway. We just kind of like go with the flow as it is. So I'm trying to save lives. You know, the next person, it may not be a broken nose. It could be a broken eye socket. And, you know, we're all immortal, but no one wants to have to go to the Ferry of the Damned if we don't have to, unless you're like the weird person on Reddit that wants like the ability to kill themselves before they log into the game, which I don't get. I'm not going to ask. Weird people on Reddit, you got some weird thoughts. All right, pirates, that's going to do it for this episode of the Keelhauled podcast. If you enjoyed it, definitely feel free to let me know. I love hearing your feedback and your thoughts and feelings on this. It means the world to me. This is my favorite thing to do every week, and I love being able to share some thoughts and some feelings with everyone as we kind of talk about Sea of Thieves. We had some really good conversation the other day regarding sloops and whether or not there needed to be a solo vehicle that was not the sloop, but was better than a rowboat cannon. And I don't know what that vehicle would be, but if there was some interesting conversation that went on regarding whether or not Rare needed to add a vehicle that was a dedicated solo player vehicle, not a 1 to 2 player vehicle, but a just 1 player vehicle. And it was an interesting conversation. I had a hard time wrapping my brain around what that would even look like or why it would be necessary. But maybe that's something that someone else has had that same thought and thinks, oh yeah, we totally need something like that. I've never heard it, but most people usually ask for like a man of war where they can put like 7 people on a ship or something like crazy like that, which I still don't think is ever going to happen just because of how the game is and how the ships are resource intensive wise, and like it just seems absolutely, it's like we can't even get full servers right now. Like I would love to get full servers before we start worrying about whether or not we can get back to the full the man of war sized ships and stuff. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, pirates. Thank you all for listening. If you want to get a hold of me, there's plenty of ways to do that. Head over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast. If you want to sign up to be in the Gold Hoarder episode, you can always reach me on Twitter at CAPT_LOGUN. You can always write into the email for the show at CAPTLOGUN@gmail.com. That's caplogan@gmail.com. I haven't had anyone write any stories or thoughts. Most people usually jump on the Discord, which there is a link in the show notes typically for the Discord server. If you want to join up and say hi, there's plenty of people there. And in fact, I think there's the Sherpa program is still going strong. They are adding a Glitterbeard event, I think this Wednesday. I think it's this Wednesday. I should probably check on that kind of stuff before I start recording it into into a podcast, shouldn't I? But they are doing a Glitterbeard event that is going on. Oh, where did he put this? There it is. April 20th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. You guys didn't put the actual time zone on this. You guys got to put the time zone on this thing. Otherwise, people don't know what time zone it is. Everyone lives in different time zones. I'm going to bug them about this. All right. It's going to be on April 20th. I'll see if they can edit it so that it actually shows what the actual time zone is for this so that you can understand it. If it's in PST, then it's 6:30 to 8. If it's in Eastern Standard Time, it's going to be even later. So I don't imagine that's going to be the case. So if you want to jump on and get Glitterbeard done, they're going to try and get a couple galleys on a server to be able to do this, so that they can go ahead and do the actual Glitterbeard event. And shout out to Xbox Attic, because it's the anniversary. It's the 4-year anniversary is passing, and it was kind of a bummer to realize. Like I almost completely forgot about it. I saw the post that went out regarding his passing being the anniversary, and it's one of those things where he seemed like someone that was a genuinely good person. and he passed away. He unfortunately left a family behind to him. But if you don't know, there's a book out on Smuggler's Bay in a little cave that has his gamer tag in there, and it is his Easter egg. So if you have an opportunity, it would be great if you could head over to Smuggler's Bay and then go to there, just drop off some loot, light a candle, take a screenshot, and then send it to on Twitter. If you have Twitter, this is kind of the best way to do it, but at Penny, SONSHINEAZ. And I'll put a link to this in the show notes as well too. But he was someone that loved Xbox, had an amazing gamer room full of Xbox love, and the community knows him. I came late into Xbox, so I never found out about him, but just based on the way people treat him and treated him and kind of speak about him, he seemed like a genuinely good human being. And it's always a shame to lose those people, because it's few and far between that we tend to find them. I think our community is one of the few that we can actually find that about. But again, it'd be great if you could send a photo, send a picture, something like that. Just to kind of show some love to someone who realistically went way before their time. So that's it for this week, Pirates. Sorry to leave you on a kind of a somber note there. I'm looking forward to the content that's coming out. We'll be talking about that a bunch in the future, so get ready for that. And if all things work out, Caleb will be making a return to the podcast in the near future, given time scheduling and all that good jazz. So be prepared for that. And that's all I'm going to say. Pirates, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you. I love you. And I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
Are you into the Cyberpunk tabletop games or excited for Cyberpunk 2077? Are you looking to brush up on the lore, stay up on all the latest news, and talk about the game when it comes out? Check out the Cyberpunk Lorecast, a show from Robots Radio with me, your host, Robots. We'll go over all the details you need to know about the world, characters, and story of Cyberpunk. Available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
In a world where solid-state electronics and vacuum tubes are still meta, people never stop loving atomic-powered everything. A chosen 500 stepped inside a subterranean vault to be spared the nuclear horror of the inevitable Great War. 25 years later, they emerge after the fallout settles to retake Appalachia. Among them, two former rivals whose blood feud will tear West Virginia apart in their epic struggle for survival. Chad, a vault bro who has a strength of 15, an intelligence of 2, and is a complete wasteland dickhead. Simon, a complicated anti-hero who chooses light and hope, but accidentally becomes a cannibal, and wakes up naked and afraid with a Scorch Beast queen after a date goes terribly wrong. What? I mean, it's a wild wasteland, right? This dark humor radio drama will have you driving off the road and crawling out from under the fallout. 2 men, 1 wasteland, and so many nukes. Chad, a Fallout 76 podcast, rated R, now streaming on your holotape player podcasty thing.